All right. Let's bring this week home on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. This is the Leaf Hour edition on this Friday. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne.
Hello.
Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and just Jake Schultz. Just Jake.
No, didn't get a nickname today?
No nickname today.
I've been just really impressed with him recently, so we're dropping the serpent for now.
We are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. We go large on the Toronto Maple Leafs in this hour, and then the top of the hour we'll welcome in Doug MacLean for a little off the rails, and also Jason Bukala will join us to put a big ribbon on this week.
Beautiful.
So, just not Friday, Friday the 13th.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Right.
Are you guys like those type of guys to
Well,
go a little slower today, or
No.
no?
it is funny you mention this because, as you guys both know, I am very jinx wary. And
Yes.
extremely.
You'll go home the same way.
Yeah, I'm very like when it comes to sports. I'm very like I respect the hockey gods deeply. Yeah. And I don't know if you want to get into this right away, but I feel like I should address it because I've been getting barbecued on all social medias because of this. But I said this about Anthony Stolarz, I think on Wednesday's show, and this talking about Friday the 13th.
So it's all you.
Listen,
was
just
yesterday.
listen.
Are
to
you
this.
superstitious?
Look at this.
Listen to this
Got a
clip.
Video.
Listen to this clip. Paying him $2.5 million. Like, I think they've already got their money's worth.
Yeah, if he never plays
If
again.
he stopped playing tomorrow, which I hope he doesn't, the contract was worth it. They got 9 wins out of him already.
Oh my God. Are you nuts? Are you nuts?
I honestly, like, I'm so sorry, hockey gods. It's my fault. I will never, like, everybody tweeting me being like, it's your fault. I agree. Totally my fault. I'm sick. My favorite Leaf of the year, my favorite story of the year. I go out there, I start talking like that. I'm getting too confident, and they smite me.
We were talking about him being up with Bill Barilko and Tim Horton up in the rafters in Legends Row.
The pictures with his name up on the rafters was the
That's what did it.
nail.
Yeah.
The
Text
nail.
whoever one of your friends made that. And they did it.
As mentioned, Anthony Stolar's injury kind of overshadows a win. Max Pacioretty had a big night. I'm not sure that we'll get to it in the next hour based on watching Anthony Stolarz go down last night. And not one of those where right away we're all sitting there going, oh, that was bad. That one kind of just snuck up on us a little bit.
But those are the worst, right?
Are they?
Well, I think it's better when you see some sort of impact and you go, oh, that's where it happened. You tweak this. But when something just kind of goes, something just kind of quits on a guy, I think that's a little bit more scary. Although it sounds like, Kip, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, you're maybe not as concerned today as we were initially.
Why don't we go to head coach Craig Berube, who spoke on Anthony Stolarz today, and we'll start with his update first.
What's your goaltender and his status?
Good. Well, I thought we got good news on him. Day to day right now. Obviously, we didn't go on the ice today, but we'll see tomorrow if he can get out there.
Do you expect him back next week?
What's that?
Do you expect him back next week?
Stolarz?
Yeah.
I do, but in saying that, like again, he's got to get on the ice, and but it was good news overall. So let's just leave it at that. It's right now it's day to day.
Oh, we were fine up until he gave us the dreaded day to day.
Day to day. Day to day. Today's not the day. Tomorrow's probably not the day either, but it'll be a day.
It is a day.
Don't read into anything like that.
It's a day that's
Could be this day. Could be a lot of days from now.
Is it the Austin Matthews 3.5 weeks day to day?
Is it the Jake McCabe 5 games day to day?
That's not for today.
This is the exact problem in saying that guys don't have issues with like their injuries or not being forthcoming with their injuries, because every single person, as soon as another guy gets hurt and you say it's not serious and it's day to day, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
It's not right. I don't believe you. I don't have any trust in you. I don't think there's any way that it's actually day to day.
But they don't
I
care.
truly believe that they're going to see him in February. Like I have zero trust in the organization being forthright about any of this now.
Yeah.
They've lost me. So
Huh.
this does not make
Sam's
me.
out.
This update does not make me feel any better about it. Does not change my perspective at all.
Here's the good news so far with all the injuries, for the most part. I'm not talking about every guy, and there's Camp, who's been out for quite a while, and then Yarncroc. They never told us day to day with him. Did they? Did they start out day to day with him?
No, the day to day guys
Easier to
were
use.
Matthews
Okay,
and Matthews and.
but they have recently
Domi.
avoided the. He's going to be out a while or week to week. So I do believe that they believe that we don't know if it's going to be 2 days or 21 days
Right.
so far.
Mm.
Which I'm sorry, I can't go on your side in terms of, they're lying.
Yeah, they don't know.
They just don't know.
Okay.
The one thing that we did the game last night, and the one thing that needs to kind of be stressed here is that this guy has got some knee injury issues.
That knee. Right knee.
Both knees.
Both knees.
Both knees.
That's too many.
But one probably a little bit more. He's had multiple surgeries. It got to the point where he lost a year. He
Valley,
lost.
remember the Valley story?
Yeah.
How much
No,
smaller the
it's-
one leg
yeah.
was than the other and all that
Mm.
stuff? Yeah.
It's been an ongoing challenge for him. His whole career are his knees. I think what happened last night is that he felt something, and he may have gotten spooked a little bit,
Yeah.
Mm.
and he just, precautionary reasons, took himself out of the lineup.
Great call.
Please, God, let you be right about that.
He then goes, gets some further testing either last night or this morning, today. They come back. They say,
Fine.
Structurally, you're fine. So
And then, like Mike Modano, they dropped the stretcher he was on, and his knee snapped.
Oh, that's one of the best clips all time.
It is.
Poor Mike.
let it settle. Take a couple of days off. Don't think we'll see him this weekend. You should be fine.
Okay.
That's how I read the tea leaves today.
But
Okay.
But
he is a guy who has had knee issues.
okay, now we're getting the big picture stuff.
We are.
Okay.
He is a guy who's had knee issues, and he felt a little some discomfort in a knee the first time that they said, let's go back to back here with him and see what he's got, if he can be the guy. So does it change how you feel about him? And what had become the goaltending situation was it felt like his net as 1A with Wool as 1B.
To answer your question, yes, I do feel differently. I'm not going to pull a Sam McKee or a Don Cherry and need to go back to the tape of what I said the other day. But I do believe in some way, shape, or form, besides the scheduling, look at where you want him and Wall to fall into games started over the weekend. It was a chance to have a bit of a test here for him. And unfortunately, he did not pass the test, but which in and itself can tell you how you want to move with him moving forward.
Yeah.
I think based on this, I don't know if you can ever envision Stolarz being a guy that can play every other night for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
6 weeks to 6 to 8 weeks to win a Stanley Cup. Like to think that he could take that type of
Yeah, 25 games, 8 weeks of starts.
taxing every other day on his bad knees is not that realistic. So
We
I
didn't
think
feel like that 2 days ago, did we?
no, I kind of felt like maybe he was building towards something that he could look like a true number one guy. And to me, that's a guy that could play every other night for a month and a half.
And he did that for the start of the season, right? In October, he did. Like, I mean,
Did he
Wool-
ever? The one thing that
Like he-
bothered me, and I know you guys felt the same way, is that we didn't look at Tuesday night.
7 starts in October. So, I mean, that's a starter's workload over a month, right? And he was really good.
It is. But the one thing that stood out for us and why the three of us collectively agreed that it's interesting that they didn't go to Wall
I wanted them to go to Stolarz. That was my whole thing.
was the night that he had in New Jersey. That was just not a normal game. It had to have been, I don't want to speak for the man, but that must have been the most taxing night of his career.
Yeah, 38 saves.
Like, can you
39
imagine?
shots.
Can you imagine? He said, "No, I've
Crease
been
battles.
busier, or I've had busier or tougher nights than that night."
Yeah.
So to go back to him with 1 day's rest was rather surprising, and maybe it was to see if he could handle it.
Yeah, you've said that, and I think that's given them a lot of credit. I don't know that's to me. It feels like goalie good, goalie go in, not like, hey, let's see what we got here. And maybe it was. Maybe they deserve the credit there of that. They're.
I
thinking
don't think I'm giving him credit. I'm just saying that if it might have just been that's another reason why to start him.
Yeah.
Besides that, we don't want Wall to play 2 out of 3 on the weekend.
Between December 2nd and December 23rd, that's 22 nights. The Leafs have 12 games. 12 games in 22 nights. That's a ton of hockey.
Yeah.
We've talked about these guys' workload, and I think on this show yesterday, I just said, Woll's playing very well. I just, why not just, they're both going to play a ton. Let's just alternate, go back and forth, whatever. I didn't say that because I thought Stolarz would get hurt. I just, so it's not revisionist history as you and JD called us last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's not at all revisionist history because I said it before the game happened that it should have been an alternating schedule. I don't think because he played, that's why he got injured. I don't know that if Wall had gone in, he wouldn't have got injured. Or if Wall had gone in, he played bad.
The chances of Stolarz getting hurt more than were there based on how taxing he was Tuesday night and his history of his knees.
Right.
Sure.
So it's not even for me. It's this guy, the chances, the percentages of Stolarz getting hurt last night were a lot higher than Wall.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think that's just so easy to say now. Because
of course.
it's the easiest thing in the world to say now, Kip. Like, if he had started Saturday and he got hurt, would you be saying the same thing? Like, it could have happened in any game.
I just felt
the guy had the best game of his life, and the coach rewarded it for him. So what? Like, it's pro sports.
But that's not.
But managing these guys is part of why they're cheap.
Like, you're talking as if there's no knee issues or there's nothing.
I know
you're just having them even, and you can never do that. You can't do that.
The guy earned the start. That's what happens in professional sports. You play well, you earn a start. He thought he'd give him the best chance to win. He's available. The coach says, hey, which guy's playing better? The guy that had the best save.
Sammy,
Sammy,
if it was Tuesday night to maybe Friday night or Tuesday to
game 1 to
Saturday,
game 2?
I'm with you. From Tuesday, 48 hours later, to put that guy in 48 hours later off that workload surprised me. And it surprised you too.
It did surprise me.
It wasn't based on just another start. That was a very tough night for him.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's impossible for me to sit here and say that, like, you guys are wrong, because would you know? But like,
But I'm not even saying that's why he got hurt.
I could never sit here and say that it was the wrong decision to start Anthony Stolarz last night.
Well,
I will never sit here and say that the guy who, like we've said, play good, go in, play bad.
But I'm not that guy. I've never been play good, go in.
But the coach is.
Yeah.
The coach is that old school type of guy.
Right.
He watched his guy give him a absolutely amazing start that won them the game, and he went back to him.
And
I
the
have
point
no
I made
problem
is that
with
exposes you to critique when it goes wrong. And it went as
Yes.
wrong as it possibly could go.
We're still talking about a guy that's never played more than 40 games in his career.
27 is a career high.
Well,
for a
okay.
season, I
No,
think.
that's Wall.
Oh, here we go. This is
right?
career high
We
games played.
we are talking about a guy that's never played at the level he's playing right now.
The reason he's $2.5 million and not $10.5 million is that he's never done the starter's workload. And so once he's done that, if he continues to be the best goalie in the league as he has been the last couple of years, you go,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And I'm the first one to say, yeah, Kyper, hindsight's 2020, right?
And
It's easy.
for sure. It is.
Look in the rearview mirror, but we are factoring all these things in.
I'm way more worried about Joseph Wall's health than I am of Anthony Stolar's health.
Yeah.
So you start Joseph Wall in that game, it's maybe more likely that he gets hurt in that game. So I think he needs more time off.
That's fair.
Than Stolarz does.
So now we have a story because you feel like Wall is the risky one to put in.
Yeah.
Stolarz has
I got Stolarz.
Now Stolarz has demonstrated that it's at least a concern now.
Multiple knee injuries
on a non-play he got
that he thought his career may have been over, that he would never get himself healthy again. We are talking about a very long list of knee issues the man has had to get to this point.
So whether it's Wool or whether it's Stolarz, that's more concerning. The Leafs have two of these guys, and they're the best goalies in the league. They're first and fourth in save percentage in the NHL. And so this is a very unique conundrum where it's like we have amazing goalies, but who can we play? And
Who
can we get over the finish line?
And who's going to be left to go to battle?
What was the number one talking point about these guys
Health.
the start of the year?
Yes.
We've completely papered over it because of how incredibly they.
I don't think we papered over it.
But like
I don't think we papered over it.
No. At the start of this season, when we were doing our preseason shows, we talked about these guys have the potential to be great, but we kind of stopped talking about it since Wall's been back, and you're kind of just cruising along. And then one of these guys getting hurt on a wrister is like a cold glass of water thrown in your face. Exactly. You're like, oh my God.
That's exactly it.
But we're not going to sit here too and be the
when they're going well and being like,
but just wait till they get hurt. Oh yeah, Sammy, enjoy while you can. That guy's going to get hurt. We're not going to do that either.
I thought, okay.
I'm fine with not criticizing Stolarz going in. I'm fine with that.
I thought it's a nice move by a coach for the guy that carried him throughout the early part of the season. He had a great start and he earned it. And he's going to have to make a career high in saves. In starts anyway. So what's one extra?
But I think it exposes they don't have that luxury. They don't have that luxury of going into it mindless, best guys in. Like they have to do real management the rest of the way.
Yeah. And if you were a little relaxed like we've been and the fan base have probably been in.
It's a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call to say you guys better be perfect on when these guys need a rest and when they don't.
Well, and I think what's really important here is that you're going to get Dennis Hildeby a game this weekend, presumably. And I think you are very likely, between the two goalies we're talking about, to have Hildeby as your backup in playoffs now. And are you comfortable with that? Because if one of the two of them, between the two of them, it's likely you're going to have an injury at some point. Hildeby is, I think there's a 30% chance Hildeby plays playoff games.
Oh.
And so do you not want him in now to have this problem now? Get him into games, get him feeling comfortable at the NHL level, seeing these shots, getting him a part of it if you think he's the third best option.
Can't agree with you more that like he's in the wheelhouse.
I mean, Akhtimov is having a great year, but it's his first year in North America and they want to develop him. They want him playing.
I see them trying to protect him.
And Matt Murray got hurt last game. I'm not sure if people knew that.
Fourth on the depth chart.
Akhtimov is, I think the same age as Hildeby, and he's got an 8-0-1 record, 8-1-8-4 and a 9-2-9.
But I guess he's just
level.
way more green. Like he just hasn't had. He played very limited games last year somewhere. He's never.
I'm not saying that they call him up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that
they're comparable.
They're comparable age, and he's having a way better season.
Yeah,
Akhtimov.
Yeah,
but they probably want.
But I feel like you're also saying that he is a bit of a chip for them, right? Like a potential.
I don't see them. I don't see them trading him.
No,
but I think the Leafs will continue to get calls on their depth in net.
Well, they may be less interested in picking up that phone now.
To your point that I wouldn't have anybody as an untouchable if I get an offer I can't refuse. Like again, I'm trying to win a cup that we haven't seen here since '67. Yeah. So
the good news is Joseph Woll is awesome, and you do have Joseph Woll. He's been tremendous this year. 921. He was great last night.
And now you're you thought you were worried at every shot going in before, like towards him.
Yeah.
Now it's like every time you watch a game with Joseph
Last
Wall in
night
that,
it was
you're
like
just, oh my
hanging
God.
on.
Another game.
And like, hey, I love Friedge. I love Gals. I love Cuthbert on the broadcast. Just chill with the e-bug talk. Oh my God. They're like, the e-bug. Let's do a vignette on the e-bug. I'm like, holy, like, I already cursed them enough. Just
Why are you showing
enough
me this?
e-bug talk. Good Lord. It's like Wall's super durable. He's never been hurt ever. But like, let's definitely talk about the e-bug some more. God.
They were jinxing, were they?
I think they want to see another one.
I'm a broken man. Like, I'm a broken
Yeah,
man. I can't have
clearly.
another e-bug in there. This time for the Leafs. Anyways.
Well, let's listen to some coach clips. We got Burby on Wool and Hildeby. Who'd you like to go with first?
The clip about Wool and relief is good.
All
So
right,
let's
clip
do clip 4.
Well, it's important. I thought Wolsey did a real good job coming in. That's never easy.
Woolsey.
He made a couple big saves for us, one in the third, and later on in the third, he made a real good save. So he did a good job coming in, and yeah, it's important. And we're fortunate to have 2 guys that have played extremely well this year.
I would have gone Wooler, but
Extremely.
Wooler?
well.
yeah, Wooler.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's really good that they have Wool because
He was very good last night.
Very
Actually,
good.
there were
Wow.
some breakaways on him and
Another
2-on-1s.
another hockey game where we said if they had someone else
Ilya.
named Samsonov in that,
poor guy.
I know he was like a 900 or something.
that's a loss.
Yeah.
That's a game
They
in
won by
previous
one.
years
won
that
by
they
one
would
goal.
have once again found a way to lose.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For sure. He was very good. And it was, did we do the pack on Riley? Yeah, we did the pinches at the end of the first
Yeah,
period.
that's the first time for me where I saw signs of old Leafs.
And someone else over here was text us that the 44-95 pairing didn't make you feel very comfortable.
I would say that where you have reached or the sort of point of the Leaf season, the annual time where the heat is rising on Morgan Riley,
Yeah.
where the fan base is, I would say that he is the whipping boy at the moment. People have him in the crosshairs. It hasn't looked great. Him and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, whatever the opposite of chemistry is, that's what they have.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't look good together. And people are on Riley. Right now.
The core 4 has always taken a lot of the heat for not rising. Or, when they play a bad team, they don't perform particularly well. But Riley looked maybe not as bared down at times last night. And the scary part is the rushes against, the misreads on pinches and stuff. I thought he had good offensive plays in the first little bit. And it's like he thought it was going to be a runaway. It was 2-0. He started sniffing around, and all of a sudden, that ends up being a much closer hockey game than we had hoped.
Mm-hmm.
Going into it, we kind of thought that might be a bit of a Leafs route, and they played fine. They're the better team.
Yeah.
They deserve to win,
Mhm.
but certainly could have gone the other way.
He
too.
had a helper last night, but the points aren't coming. Probably is. If he ends up with 40 points, is that a disappointment for you?
For sure. I think, he's paid handsomely. And I think his.
Doesn't help that he's off the power play.
No, for sure. And I think, well, if you saw it today at practice,
Oh, is he back?
yes, sir. The Riley, Marner, Nylander, Matthews, Tavares is back together. If it didn't work 100 times, let's try it one more time. Maybe listen.
Nice, got the boot
Yeah, nice and back down to the second.
Maybe he's pressing for a little bit more offense.
out of Riley,
But
or just
Is
that,
that- is
get that
that-
power
that-
play better.
If you get caught, it's the only reason why you're up, right?
Yeah,
Just to help create and support and maybe get on the score sheet. Maybe that's what we saw a little bit last night from him.
take Matthews off that unit, killing it.
All right, let's go to Craig Berube. Did we do an overview of the game yet?
we did. I think we did. Didn't we? I can't remember.
No, I don't think we did.
No, I
Okay,
don't
we
think
did
we
not.
did.
We did not. I can't. Sorry, I was yelling about
No, we went
Stolarz. I
Clip
forgot.
one.
we went goaltending
Yeah, good one.
early.
Pretty good game. Really good third, I thought, with the lead. We gave up one chance in the third, but, we had lots of opportunities to score. We didn't put it in the net enough, but, I thought our game was pretty good.
I agree with him in the third
Yeah.
and they've been good this way, shutting down and
Yeah.
getting great goaltending. And
Best team in the NHL when leading
Yeah.
or when scoring first. I think they're 12-1.
Yeah.
They do well with the
I mean,
lead.
overall, kind of stop and start kind of plays and sustaining. I didn't think they got out of 2 days ago. He was talking about cleaner outs instead of his own zone. I didn't see too many.
No, we were trying to stay positive on the
Clean.
broadcast, so we didn't show the couldn't make a damn pass pack that we were building. But
To beat it to a square in the offensive zone.
well, I just, I did.
I
the
thought
Ducks-
Anaheim moved the puck better
Yeah.
than the Leafs last night.
I did the Ducks game back-to-back nights, Wednesday, Thursday, and Ottawa made them look silly in the O-zone, running the play up high, Stützle taking it up there and, zipping it about. And the Leafs definitely looked like the beef stew sort of team. They're just chunk it in, hope for the bounces, patches, tips a couple in. They survive. It's a playoff-style win.
Yeah, they kind of look the same against every team.
Yeah, that's true, which I think is okay.
Regardless of like really good or really bad, they're just kind of in a close game in the third period and they kind of win.
They just keep
Really
have
not the
said-
most thrilling brand of hockey.
I actually think they've been playing some of their worst hockey of the season at a time their schedule has been softest, which has been really nice. They've played,
But they would have blown leads to lesser teams.
but fortunately, they're playing less teams. Chicago, Nashville, Anaheim. Who'd they beat before Anaheim the other night? Someone else not great. God, my brain. Earlier this week? No one else?
Well,
Whatever.
It's before Jersey.
They beat Jersey.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
It was Jersey. Jersey's good. Never
And they
mind.
got absolutely caved in by them and got saved by by Stolarz.
But, Chicago and Nashville. So, yes, the point is I think that their poor play has coincided with a soft schedule. They're getting wins. They need to figure it out because the schedule won't be soft forever. Although this weekend is pretty soft again.
No, we
You want to
could-
go to break?
no, we could talk about patches for a little bit here before we go to break.
Okay, and then we'll do game.
Yeah,
time.
we'll do it after. It's fine.
All
A
right,
lot to talk.
Max Pacioretty. Before the game, we were talking about the Leafs and the inability, not just this season, but probably in the last 5, where so much focus is on secondary scoring, third and fourth lines not producing, but overall, just how tough it's been over them getting production out of the left side. Now they've got Matthew Nyes, and it looks like Matthew Nyes should be on the pace that he's at, probably around 40, 45 points, which, if you ask me, a guy that's played 109 games in his NHL career,
And 27 of those might be goals,
Right.
too.
And
Like he's
22 years old. It's not bad.
No.
But is it bad when you're trying to win a Stanley Cup on a contending team and you're it? And outside of Matthew Nyes, there hasn't been much over the last little while. And then now Max Pacioretty comes along, going in last night, just 2 goals, I think.
Yep.
Now provided 3 points last night, including 2 goals. And I don't know, newfound money here.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lot like Stolarz and Woll for me.
Big time.
You
I
know,
was just gonna say the exact same.
where it's like I worry if you're going to go. They rolled them out 18 plus minutes last night. They're going to play X amount of times before Christmas. Can
Yeah.
he do it that much? Because he does look good. Like he, gritty hits, can shoot it in the net, has some offensive sense, tons to like. Can he do it? Over and over and over
Yeah.
without snapping like dry
Yeah.
rubber bands.
He's
Just listen to this clip from Pacioretty himself on his role from last night, which he's a really good talker. And I found this clip
Smart guy.
very interesting. So Pacioretty clip 1, please, on his role.
I got to make sure that I balance everything in terms of being hard to play against and playing straight lines. And I can't get away from that no matter what the outcome is. So started to feel that fade a little bit, but in the third got back to that. And, I think that's definitely where I'm helping out the line and the team the most. But I definitely, there are areas where I can maybe get lost a little bit and try and get a shot off.
It's interesting because if you're Pacioretty, like he knows how he can play offensively. He knows he can still shoot it. Like it takes some real humility to just become this hitter guy. But I'm sure in his mind, he's like,
Yeah.
are we sure I'm worse than Tavares? You guys give me his opportunities and see if my stats are much different.
Like those two guys together.
Yeah, me too.
And with Willie, with them, it really feels like a good mix.
Well, those 2 guys are similar for me. Whereas once you get them in that area of 6 to 8 feet on a radius around the net,
Yep.
they're good. And
Yeah.
we
Good
do-
below the dots, too. They can win battles and boards and
it's
stuff.
strong sticks
Yep.
and compete for loose pucks.
Mhm.
The challenge is if you're not around that 6 foot radius
Yes.
or in their certain wheelhouse,
Mm-hmm.
they can kind of get lost too.
They both have great beard density,
Oh, they do.
which is really impressive.
They both would have full beards when they
Yeah.
shave in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, I totally see what you mean. Willie is a nice change of
Yeah.
pace on that line.
Yeah.
And ends
I
up
thought
with
Willie was good last night.
breakaways galore. I don't know how many shots he ended
But-
with, but he had 5,
You
6,
know,
7,
yeah.
8 at least.
Wow. I mean, that's when
Well, 5
Willie's
When he's going,
calculated
right?
the cheatingness.
Yeah.
Right?
He had the cheat dial revved up.
Yeah.
Quickly before we go to break, I got a little 50-50 read for you here, boys. It's a Sportsnet 590 fans 50-50 fortune supporting food for kids. And we are now in the home stretch. So make sure you've entered for your chance to win while making a huge difference. Here's what you need to know. We've created a 50-50 lottery where the more money we raise, the more kids we can feed in the GTA, and the more you can win. The current take-home prize is, care to guess?
$600,000.
It is over $720,000.
Wow.
Someone is going to win that huge jackpot this coming Thursday morning. Let's get that number as high as possible. For more details to buy tickets, go to foodforkids5050.ca or text the word cash to 590-590 and we'll send the link right to your phone. It's the 50-50 fortune supporting Food for Kids. Standard message and data rates apply. Ontario only.
Kip, if you won 700, would you notice? Like if I just put 700 in your various accounts, would you notice? Do you think if you check your statement?
Yeah. I would. That's a lot of golf.
That's
I could
immediately, I'm like,
get you-
what course am I joining?
Yeah.
Get you
right.
a few green fees at Rosedale.
That would cover a couple.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we return, more on the Toronto Maple Leafs, including who's getting healthy. More of Real Kyper and Bourne after the break. Hey, Kypreos, Justin Bourne and Sam McKee. You getting much of a response over your jinxing
Yes.
Anthony Stolarz?
Yeah, friend of the show, Josiah Bosch, just sent me a screenshot of me with my hand in my hands.
Yeah.
And below it on the screen, on the ticker, is the Anthony Stolarz news. So pretty perfect. Anyways, game time. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So the Leafs have a couple games this weekend that you'd think that they should probably get a couple wins, but we'll focus on tomorrow night in Detroit, which your boy will be in person for.
You've really hit the eye in Detroit.
Detroit? Yeah, I can't say it.
Like a Canadian.
I also
Detroit.
Detroit. So I will be.
And Elliot does that too.
It's the eye, yeah.
He hits the
It's
eye.
very Canadian, I think.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are minus 180 road favorites in that game. Looks like it's going to be Husso tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Red Wings just came off a brutal loss to the Philadelphia Flyers. And I saw someone say that they're off for 4 days after that game. If they lose in bad fashion to them,
Don't
they'll
you
alone.
always recall like a ton of goals?
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
always a ton of goals.
Marner scored. They won 10-7 there once. Marner scored. Didn't he have like 6 points? Didn't he score 4?
There's always. And then Buffalo, there's always a ton of goals
Yeah.
too.
And the other,
Patrick Kane, 3 goals in 24 games for Detroit.
and this game time is just another opportunity for me to brag. And then on Sunday night, I will be at Ford Field to watch the Buffalo Bills take on the Detroit Lions. And the Detroit Lions in that game are minus 140 favorites over the Buffalo Bills. They are 2.5-point favorites on the spread. And that was game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
So where did you get your Bills tickets?
I don't know. My buddy bought them.
How much?
I have no idea. A lot. Like, I mean,
Your buddy buys them.
yeah. So like, there's
And
like a
you
couple-
can't at any point go,
there's
how
a
much am I paying for this?
He to his credit,
Are you that rich?
to his credit, my good buddy Keegan, he gave us all a total for hotel tickets to the Leafs game, tickets to the Buffalo game, and he said, "Here you go. This is the total." And we all paid it, and away we go.
What a great group.
Well, share with the class.
No.
What's your total?
But my mom listens to the show. I'm not telling you that. Are you nuts? She'll kill me.
That's such a good answer.
Are
I
you
don't need
nuts?
to answer for this
Like,
multiple
I'm going home
times.
for
I already had to answer to Allie.
I'm going home for Christmas for 3 days, and she'd be like, "You spent how much?" I'm like, "No, I'm not telling you. Not telling you."
How much did you spend on her present?
On my mom?
Yeah.
What percentage of
my
what you're
God.
spending on
Hey.
this trip did you spend on her present for Christmas?
Anyways, so got some tweets here, boys.
Asking.
Did you spend a Gino on the Bills?
South. South of that. South of that.
Okay.
Not by much, but south.
Canadian?
Yeah.
Good question.
It was Canadian. Okay. Last one. I'll tell you in the break. So you want to do some tweets? I don't even know if you saw me do this today, Kyper, but I sent a little mailbag question for our Leaf fans to do in our Leaf Hour because I know you love that. So my first one here is from @Max Domi Enjoyer. I don't know if that's Kipper's burner, maybe. Which prospects picks should we be willing to trade away for a solid 3C along the lines of a Brock Nelson type guy? Assuming the investment upside of creating a better line for Domi to excel on if he's not getting top 6 minutes, feels like we might have to give up a lot for that.
Well, I would believe that if you're Lou Lamoriello and you want to give up Brock Nelson, who's still very good, and he's a good goal scorer, and I see him as a legit top 6 guy. I don't see him as but you would have that flexibility to move him out or in with maybe a John Tavares. On some nights you want to move him to the wing, but he's that good. But to me, the only names you'd be asking for you're not looking for a goalie right now, are you? If you're the Islanders?
Sorokin's pretty damn solid. Varlamov's very good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right?
Yeah, like
So I'm not going there. The home run for me, I'm not getting Cowan. I believe I can ask for him. I would ask for Cowan and settle for Minton on Brock Nelson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the only answer. There's no other answer. Like, what are they going to take? Dewar and Steves? Like, who Akhtiamov, you just said they got goalies. Like, we got Books later. Let's ask him about Cowan. I don't know where he's at. Like, I have such a good concept of where Minton is at.
Got absolutely rocked in a game against Oshawa.
But he was fine.
Yeah, but he's at the camp.
Yeah.
But he's skating alone at the camp,
Yeah.
and he's like in a non-contact jersey. He got rocked.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
At the camp.
Like the
World Juniors.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
But outside of that, there's really, to JB's point, is, come on, you can't window dress me.
Topi and Roney.
yeah,
You can't go. There's not too many places you'd want to go. I'm giving you a guy to help you win the Stanley Cup.
Brock Nelson's goal totals the past 3 years are 37, 36, 34. He's already got 10 this
Really?
year. So,
Like, hey, those are
that's
and they're
that's
crease
not
goals.
third line stuff.
No. And they're crease goals. He stands in the paint and he's big and strong. Like
He can play center, the wing.
he plays every game, which helps.
and what's the Leafs pick situation? I don't know how to look that up anymore. Cap wages.
Yeah. The Leafs pick situation is they have
It's not bad. It's not.
No, those
awful.
they're one in the second, one in the third,
Yeah.
fifth, sixth, seventh.
And then their first for 26 and 27 they have.
Minton, to me, between now and the March deadline is okay. Where are we realistically thinking he's going to be?
Yeah. It's scary. It's scary because he looks like he's going to be an NHL hockey player who's going to get.
Who might be a year and a half away from really being an impactful guy.
But you worry that he's going to be impactful in a way that not many guys are, like Cirelli or like a thoughtful two-way conscience. That ceiling is, he's not Anthony Cirelli. I'm not saying he's
Plug your ears, Craig Berube and Minton. If Minton has to be part of the trade for to get Brock Nelson or Kadri or one of these, yeah. Right?
Right.
They let
Yeah,
it
like,
go.
are we all
Yeah.
being serious here?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
We are.
right.
I'm in. But
There's only
I
one.
really like Min.
I do too. I've been impressed.
You're lucky if you got 3 pieces, in your organization that teams want.
Mm-hmm.
At least for sure have 2. Gurbenkin, like he would intrigue me if I'm another team
Mm-hmm.
willing to deal with the Leafs.
Residual Robertson value?
Oh.
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Here's a question from Al Davis 49 on Twitter.
Just win, baby.
Just win. Why does Craig Berube continue to play Ryan Reeves? He doesn't bring a ton to the table.
He's been fine.
I don't mind.
And he's
him.
also not playing.
This is the
Morrow,
best.
apparently.
The best I've seen him as a Leaf in this stretch.
Without
fighting.
That's the thing, though, Kip. Like, you don't have to fight every game, and there's not a guy to fight every game. Okay? But it's almost Christmas break and he hasn't fought once.
Okay.
It's not even
To
that
be
he's
fair to him, like the era of needing to fight just to stay relevant is gone.
I understand.
So
that.
you tell me between beginning of the season, give me like one or two examples where he needed to fight and he didn't.
no,
I
Kip,
can't recall.
No, I can't either. But we've talked about the Leafs not being reactionary and being the punch first team. And it doesn't feel like he's a threat. Like he's like people, like he's, I don't know, like he's been fine. I don't have any problem with him as a hockey player.
Yeah.
But like he hasn't been like other teams
No,
going, God,
he's
Reeves
not.
is out here. Like he wants to kill us.
Yeah.
Like he's
Oh.
he's done his job as a
maybe,
forward.
Maybe don't ask Darnell Nurse about that, but
Well, that hit is a different animal to me than what we're talking about. But.
yeah.
By the way, the bottom six of McMahon, Minton, Domi. McMahon, Minton, Domi. I like that. Holmberg, Dewar, Lorentz. I also think that's a pretty good fourth line. I like the bottom six like that. I think they would get some more offense out of it.
Yeah, if you just slid old Brock Nelson right in between the Domi and McMahon, it's like, oh boy, that team's looking
That would change the look.
a lot better.
Yeah.
Sorry to sweet.
Do
man. What we
want to
got?
take a quick break and listen to Berube talk about McMahon coming back?
Sure.
Or no?
I don't-
Also, would just like to say, as a guy who follows the Islanders, I would be probably okay with that arrangement rather than just losing Nelson. Like I like Minton.
But
Sorry.
you mentioned though that if they were going to trade Nelson, like they'd have to be out of it, and he'd have to pry a lot. I don't know. Is Lou wanting to trade him? Feels like he's more likely to extend him for 8 years than he is to trade him.
Lou is not giving up. They took 2 points last night off of Chicago.
Well, they tried to lose.
Lou will not pack it in.
He's not going to pack it in?
I don't. I'm talking about like you trade a guy like Brock,
They're packing it in.
you're packing it in.
Oh, I'll just
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, Lou will never.
So
Yeah.
I think it's maybe a bad mistake by
was
the
wondering if you meant-
organization.
Like, will Lou pack it in?
Resign.
Yeah. You mentioned in your article
Oh,
that
like,
you thought
like
that
physically
well,
pack it in.
He was saying, well, just that you thought
I think they're leaning towards him
doing it on his own.
doing it on his own eventually.
Quit
and I'm
so
not
we
saying,
don't have to fire you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They missed the playoffs again. Can Lou come back
No.
in September?
Listen, I'm a proclaimed ageist. When it comes to hockey, I am.
Speaking of my mom,
We,
plug
we
your
love you,
ears.
Lou. We love you, Lou. But like, your team needs something new now.
They haven't changed their identity at all for years, and it's not good enough. We had Rupp on yesterday. He said the worst thing that happened to them was getting to the conference finals. It's just, maybe if we tried the same group. What if we tried the same group?
Okay.
It's bad. It's really bad.
This is from CX Peary on Twitter. You guys keep saying this team feels different and is better suited for the playoffs, but what gives you any confidence that they will be able to score more than 2 goals per game this year? Lack of scoring has been their biggest downfall.
I think the type of goals that they're focusing on this year. Let me go ahead and get ahead of this.
Okay, get ahead.
I think their elite talents are going to have a year. Wow. I think Mitch Marner.
No, a half a year
No.
because that's all that's left.
No. I mean,
Playoff
in
year.
the playoffs.
Oh, playoffs here. Okay.
Mitch Marner is a elite hockey player, and I think they're going to have a year where it just works. At some point, these guys are good.
Mhm.
I don't know that there is a case in history where guys as good as Matthews and Marner and Nylander have elite stats in the regular season and never find it in playoffs.
I'm not as confident as you.
You're not.
Not with the offense.
Mhm.
And we'll stand by it feels differently because, again, last night's an example that they find ways to win with these lulls or these moments when it would have caved them in the past and they still find a way to get through. That is there. It's been there since the beginning of September, and I think it'll continue. I am not as convinced that the light switch will go on and all these world-class talented players will click on a 25% power play and everybody's going to fill the net. I think there's something going on there that needs addressing. I can't necessarily put my finger on it, but between the power play and the lack of production on the left side and
Yeah.
needing somebody else in there,
You know
like
how
a
I
Brock
said I'm
Nelson.
an ageist?
There's something that needs to be done.
You get to these ages, and these guys tend to just get that little bit stronger, better, tougher, more experience. And last year, where they come within a goal, Matthews misses 2 games, and he's dealing with something. Nylander's got migraines, and he misses a couple games. You got McMahon's not in the lineup. Like, I don't think they have to be that much different to score more than 2 in a game in the postseason. I think they'll get someone else too in a trade.
Here's why I know it's going to be different. Because this is the year that Marner is going to absolutely set the world on fire. The Leafs are going to go to the conference finals. And then he is going to walk for $16 million to the Chicago Blackhawks.
How much?
$16 million. Because he's going to get hot, and you're going to be talking about how he's the best when we're doing shows live on location with the Stanley Cup final. You're going to be like, oh, he's got to, I don't know, they got to get him under contract, and it's going to be $16 million. He's going to sign with Chicago.
They'll figure it out. They don't need me.
I'm just telling you. That's what's going to happen. He's going to have his best season ever than Leaf.
Well, hey, would you not take that?
No, I mean,
Would you not take Kawhi Leonard?
If there's
for the
silverware,
Leafs?
10 times out of 10.
Yes.
But without silverware, it's going to
The
suck.
last thing I'll say about the offense is, and I've kind of harped on this, and I still feel this way, is just their inability to move the puck crisply with everybody together.
You know who doesn't solve that problem?
Brock Nelson.
Brock
Right.
Nelson is do it like the other guys.
Yeah.
Shoot it. Be in front.
Yeah.
Like,
But I
who's a
think,
connector?
you
Can you
know,
Braden Point?
again,
He's so good.
I think part of the problem is outside of Marner or Willie Nylander, you know, Tavares cannot make plays outside of 6 or 8 feet around the net.
Yeah, he can make good passes around there,
Right.
but outside of that.
But outside that, he's not quarterbacking a power play. You don't want him being set, up at the top of the circles, or you don't want necessarily Matthews either. You want him kind of set up to eventually shoot the puck. But like,
I'm fine with him with it, but I get your point.
Just they got to start involving each other. Better passes, 4 consecutive passes.
That's personnel to me.
Crisp passing.
This is the last one because we got to go. Is Brandon, this is from Jimmy 63614. Is Brandon Saad a target for the Leafs for depth scoring?
I don't mind him.
Doesn't
Think
do it
he's
for me.
think it's that ship sailed on him, right? St. Louis, right?
It's amazing you do the show with him.
No, he's still in his prime. This is commentating prime right here.
Yeah, it's true.
This is, if I needed him to be on my third line, it's different.
Okay,
Yeah.
His best years are behind him.
Yeah, I don't need another like Pacioretty, Tavares type where you're like, hopefully squeeze one more year out of this guy.
What about 4-time goal scorer last night in Scott Lawton?
You could talk me into Scott Lawton very easily. Like his contract, $3 million this year and next. Get them to retain a little bit.
Brandon Saad has 4 goals this year. He's making $4.5 million.
Yeah, we're okay on that.
But no, I mean, you know what? I would be the worst pro scout ever because I saw that clapper on the breakaway.
From Lawton?
From Lawton. I'm like,
Get him.
You're good. Get him.
Whatever else he does.
First round pick on the table.
Yeah.
Whatever. Bar down, clapper.
I don't know if it'll
want
take
Yanni
that
Gourde.
much more than a first rounder.
Yeah, I would hope not.
And Gurbenkin.
A first in Gurbenkin for Scott
Maybe.
Lawton?
Maybe.
I don't like that at
Too
all.
much?
It's a lot.
I think
Okay.
I think everybody's a little bit too horned up about Gurbenkin.
Well, yeah, that's why you got to cash that chip.
He's
He's
okay.
a second in Gurbenkin.
But he's going to do all those late hits after the game outside the building.
fan
for,
first network. They're gonna be like,
yeah.
what the hell? He's fine.
We need him.
Yeah,
You
plays-
slandered it. They're
Could be
they're gonna
untradeable.
Come in here.
he played 7 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Careful.
Okay. That is 1 full hour on the Leafs, and we solved nothing.
Not even close.
But we got another hour to try when we go national. Doug MacLean on Off the Rails. And Jason Bukala to put it all together.
And we're sending Sammy.
And where are we sending you, Sammy?
Don't worry about it. We gotta go.
You're not telling me how much you're spending. You're not telling me where you're going, Sammy.
Listen.
I don't like it. Okay? I don't like
Make him
it.
stay, Dad.
I'm going to the Oshawa General game.
I'm the parent here. More when we return. Real Kyper and Bourne. We're back on this Friday, the 13th. Will Doug MacLean bring us good luck or bad luck?
Always good luck.
Always good luck on Off the Rails Friday. This is the National Hour. We are live on on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, and no Sammy.
No, we lost him. He went to Oshawa Generals game.
He's got the Oshawa Generals game tonight. He's got Buffalo. No, he's got Leafs, Detroit on Saturday night, and then he's got the Bills and the Lions
And
on
he has
Sunday.
to get his mom a Christmas present still.
Yeah, like I'm the Stanley Cup champion here,
Yeah, I know.
and I won his life.
Oh, I know. I know.
At least I won his weekend.
Yeah, it does sound pretty darn good. Although he does have to take the Canadian dollar into the U.S., and that's a tough go right now.
He can handle it. I'm sure he can handle it with the success that he's had from being like a
Imagine what he gets paid.
nobody to
Absolute
the star
nobody.
of our show, right?
Cult following for McKee.
All right. We'll get to Doug MacLean soon enough. Plenty to get into, including JT Miller's return.
Mm-hmm.
Top of your head, what you saw, what you liked, what you
Well, I'll
what
tell
he
you,
brought.
I liked the fan support right away. Immediately, JT Miller chants from the crowd, which was great. 2 assists. He was named one of the stars of the game. Was involved. I just thought that as you work your way back into things, was a really nice way for it to happen. And I think that's a pretty good test for them, right? Florida Panthers, they lumped them up 4-0. So good start getting back into it.
Yeah, I think it wasn't perfect the way he, I thought, addressed the media, but he's JT Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if anybody can kind of get away with leaving people with kind of open-ended questions, it's probably him.
He's a unique personality, he doesn't. Oh, hold on. Speaking of unique personalities, I'm going to let you handle this.
All right. Let's go to uniqueness. Doug MacLean in Florida. Okay, I just said I wanted to be Sammy McKee this weekend, but if it was longer, I'd say you.
Well, I had an 89 today at Delray Dunes.
You're not happy with that?
Till I missed the last putt and I had a 90.
Almost.
Not happy.
Almost.
But you know what?
Almost 89.
You know what? You wouldn't recognize me as a golfer today. My game has grown. I played Delray Dunes today, which is a beautiful private course. Friends of mine. We stopped at the bank on the way there because I said to them, we want to pay. We don't want to, you guys are members and you invite us to this beautiful country club. We want to pay. So I cornered the guy after we finished playing, after I had my 90, and I said, look, I want to pay. And he said, no, you're not paying. You're not paying. I mean, you can take to dinner some night. And I said, okay, well, keep it between me and you so I don't have to give the money back to Jill.
Doug, do you have a temper on the golf course or no?
No, I've cleaned up my attitude. I came home a month ago with my guys I play with every Sunday and Wednesday, and I was sour. I had a bad attitude, and I went back and I told them the next week, I said, if I'm not the perfect golfer, not golfer, but the perfect etiquette guy, I'm going to quit golf. I am not going to have a bad attitude anymore. My attitude is golden. My attitude now is the very same as when I worked at Hockey Central at noon. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, and you're also the guy that threw gum at referees.
Yeah, I know. That was bad. That was not pretty. That was not pretty.
Anyways, we just before we
guys, thanks for having me on. Like I had to rush from the golf course to get here, and Jill cursed you guys the entire trip back from the golf course.
Oh,
she knows we're trying to get your career jump started. So
she hates Fridays.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, just talking JT Miller, Vancouver Canucks. We think he tried his best to clear the air with Vancouver media. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he told, don't ask me any questions about where I've been for 10 games.
Fair or not fair?
I thought he could have given. Look, I know it's a private thing. I don't know what it was. I've heard a lot of rumors, as I've said many times, I'm not telling you it's the truth. I'm just telling you what I heard. But look, he has that right, I guess. I suspect he's told his bosses what the situation was, and that's all he has to tell is his bosses. And he missed 10 games, and it's a pretty big loss for the franchise, pretty big loss to his teammates, and I'm sure he obviously needed the time away. And you can never judge anybody on that. And we know how hard this guy plays and competes, and everybody has issues and they have to resolve them,
Doug, when you were running teams, did you deal with players coming to you and saying, hey, I got personal things. I can't do the professional things right now? You don't have to give specifics, obviously.
No, I'll just give you an example. I was getting ready to go to the airport to fly with the team, and I get a call from a wife, and she said, my husband is, he was injured with me at the time. And he said, look, he's catching a flight home, and he's going to kill me. I said, what? She said, yeah, he's catching a flight, and he's coming back. And so I phoned my assistant, Chris McFarland.
Jeez.
I said, C-Mac, you get to the airport. This is the airline that flies to this city. You get to the airport, because he was 10 minutes and I was 25, and do not let this guy get on a plane. I raced to the airport. So he phones me. I got him. I said, I'll meet you at the McDonald's, which is right off the Columbus airport. I meet there, and I take the guy, and he's, C-Mac, when I said to C-Mac, do not let him get on the plane, and C-Mac, how do I stop him? I said, do you own a gun? Anyway, I'm joking. But anyway, he raced, get him. I get in the car with him, and I'm trying to calm him down, settle him down, and I drive him right to, on the way there, I phoned our team shrink and said, I'm bringing this guy right to you. And that was one of the worst days of my life as a general manager. And it was scary. Yeah. And the kid ended up going to rehab for probably a month. And when he was in rehab, I traded him.
Wow.
Mac,
I mean, that's terrifying.
It was
stuff.
scary.
It
was scary. And so look, the players are the same, and not that has anything to do with what JT's issues were, but look, the issues, I was thinking the other day about the role of a general manager, and team construction is the number one thing we all talk about, how they construct their team. But there's so much more to the job as a general manager, from what I just described to what happens in every day, to like it's all encompassing. People have no idea what a general manager.
I was about to say that the only way the fan can identify things like this is when they see a player disappear for 10 games. But it's happening to a lot of teams, a lot of general managers, a lot of presidents, where they have to deal with this stuff. Like we're talking about 22, 23 kids, on a roster.
And listen, there was a time when the GM, it was hockey, it was trades, it was minor leagues. But now, if you notice, GMs are with the big team 85% of the time. Why are they with the big team 85% of their time? Because they're putting out fires constantly, whether it's in the dressing room, whether it's with the coaches, whether it's with the media, it's putting out fires constantly. And that's why the GMs are with it. That's why GMs, they don't scout. They scout once in a while. They'll go and watch a key guy every once in a while. And they get blamed for the draft. But even when I was there, I would get out and see the first and second round picks. And the scouts didn't even want me seeing those, because, when you don't see them enough, you shouldn't be making the call. Mm-hmm. So GMs, it's an all-encompassing job, to say the least. And I watch guys, and I'll tell you, the pressure, owners get to hate coaches really fast, but they also get to hate GMs almost as fast today.
So one of the things that you hear about the Vancouver Canucks is maybe some fractured relationships within the dressing room. And I have no knowledge of this, no inside information, but you do hear people talking about potentially a situation with JT Miller and Pedersen.
Yeah, the Vancouver media talks
Right.
about it.
And, you know, Mac, just if there is something going on in general with teams, with top players not seeing eye to eye or not getting along, at the end of the day, can you find a way to still make it work, or will it always maybe find a way to come back and bite you?
You know what? You know, with players, you try to do everything you can, and players just want to sit with a GM and talk. They want to have the opportunity to talk, same as they want to with a coach. And I think if you're a GM in today's NHL, you've got to be open and direct in hitting these decisions and these discussions head on. If two look, it's not unusual for players to have a battle in the dressing room. It happens all the time. It happens all the time that teammates don't get along. There's 23 guys, and you're going to have guys you don't particularly like. You're going to have guys you don't like as personalities. You're going to have guys you don't like the way they play. You know, so you have to work with them and try to not talk them into it, but show them both sides of the picture, and that the team is always bigger than two guys that don't like each other. You always have to express the whole team thing front and center. And I never really ever had a situation in my 24 years in the NHL, whether it was coaching or managing, that guys couldn't make, they weren't always buddies, but they could coexist.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
So this time of year is a special time of year, Mac, for, you know, hockey teams. How was Christmas
Why is it
time?
a
That's
special
why.
time?
It's the holiday
Yeah,
season,
yeah.
Mac.
Yeah.
You picked out gifts for my panel here.
Did you do Christmas parties, or did all the Blue
Seriously,
Jackets and Red Wings?
I wish I was at the cottage. Like, I've got 30 jerseys I'd like to get rid of. At the cottage.
We could use them. We need them.
Since you guys are whining about jersey, I'd like a jersey. Seriously. You know?
We can't afford them, Mac. We can't afford them.
I'll never forget.
We'll take your Gretzky.
We're walking out of the All-Star game in San Jose when I was the All-Star coach, and Clark's walking out, and he's got his Wayne Gretzky jersey on. And Ron Joyce, the former owner of Tim Hortons, who was at that time a minority owner of the Calgary Flames, and he said to Jill, he said, you're not going to let your kid go outside in San Jose with that jersey on. Somebody would kidnap him, not for your kid, but for the jersey.
Well, throw it our way if Clark doesn't want it anymore.
But Mac, did you guys throw Christmas parties? Was it a big part of the team morale at the time?
Well, we had the Christmas skate, which was always fun, you know. Yeah, it was always, Jill used to love going to the Christmas skates or going to the wives' room, because there was always 3 wives that hated my guts, or there was 3 players at the Christmas skate that hated me. So you always had to warn them before you got to the Christmas party, Christmas skate, the wives' room, who you benched, who you're sending to the minors.
No escaping it.
That's great.
Yeah, no escaping it. Fun times.
Where do you want to go around the league in Canada? The
What I was
Oilers.
thinking, I wish I had a job. If I was a general manager or president of a job, I'd call a guy in. I'd find a top goalie guy, okay, and I'd call him in. And I'd say, okay, I've got some good news and some bad news. I'm going to give you $500,000 to scout for me this season. $500,000. The bad news is you're going to Russia for a year to find me the best goalie in Russia you can find, and bring me back a Shesterkin, a Vasilevsky,
Sorokin.
Bring me back one of those goalies, because as I watch games every night, the number one reason you win or lose in the NHL is goaltending. And that's what I'd say. Fine, go to Russia and spend a year there and bring me back one of those guys that are like those big three. And if not,
So
because,
the Oilers, listen, the Oilers look good, and Skinner looks better there. I don't think they need to send anybody to Russia right now.
What did you just say? He looks better?
Yes, better than he started the season.
If you're going to win the Stanley Cup, you typically need to look better than better.
Okay, all right.
You know what I mean? You've got to be unbelievable is what you've got to be to win the Stanley Cup. You've got to be one of the great goaltenders, to win. Or you've got to have a Vegas blue line in front of a 6'5" goaltender. I watch every night, and you know what? There's still teams that goaltending costs them every night. There's games that goaltending is winning for teams every night, but it's so tough. And I was thinking the other day, it hasn't really changed, okay? If you're building a team, you've got to go skill and speed.
Mm-hmm.
Skill and speed. Then you've got to have players that are hard to play against, difficult to play against. And the third thing is goaltending. Tell me that hasn't changed in 20 years. That's still the three elements that you need to win in the NHL. And it seems complicated.
It does. I guess the piece of that missing a little bit is the coaching element and how important it is. Right now, there's some teams that are not doing great. How do you judge the coach of a team that doesn't have talent? I'm looking at, how do you judge Marty St. Louis or Huska or Brunette or some of these guys, Laviolette, Cronin? How do you judge a coach who doesn't have a ton of talent?
You know what? First of all, if you're coaching in the NHL, you're a good coach.
Mm.
You've had a good record. You've done some really wonderful things to get a chance to be an NHL coach. But you still need great experience to win the Stanley Cup. Like I think about Mark Crawford. Okay, we were in the NHL at the same time. Okay, Doug MacLean gets his first head coaching job, and it's with the expansion Florida Panthers. Then I get my next head coaching job, and it's with the expansion Columbus Blue Jackets. Crow, he goes to Colorado with his first job. Then he goes to Vancouver. Then he goes to Dallas. And I'm thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? Why is this guy what has he done to get these jobs and I'm getting expansion jobs? So what's coaching? It's about what the situation is and what organization you're in and what the players are like and what the team's like.
Would it be easy?
No magic formula.
Would it be easy for Barry Trotz right now to fire Andrew Brunette?
Yeah, it would be. It would be. It's not easy because Andrew did a great job last year. I mean, he wouldn't let them to go to a concert and they play 120 in a row. He's going to come up with one of those things this year. Can he let them go to a Taylor Swift concert and see if it can be a team building thing for
Circus.
them? Or what the hell can Andrew do? Trotzy, I'll tell you why Trotzy probably, look, you think about it all the time as a GM, but you don't really make the decision. I'm sitting in my office at 11 o'clock. We just lost 5-0 to Nashville in Columbus. 11 o'clock in the morning. Dave King's my coach. I get a call at 11 o'clock. I pick up the phone. Hello? Yeah, Mr. Mack here. Hey, Mr. Mack, how you doing? I'm not doing very good. We lost 5-0 at home tonight. I said, yeah, I know, Mr. Mack. He's 80. Doesn't know anything about coaching. Fire the coach tomorrow morning. I said, Mr. Mack, who's going to coach? He said, you are. I said, oh, okay. So I'm the president, GM, now I'm the head coach. I got to go in and tell Dave the next morning that he's fired. Can't tell him it was the owner that made me fire him because you can't do that. You can't let that get out. You take the hit for it, And so 90% of the coaches that get fired in the NHL, it's not Barry Trotz doing it. And it's not ex-GM doing it. It's when the owner phones the GM and says, fire Laviolette or fire Brunette. And it's the owner that does it. 99% of the time, it's not the GM. And if you believe that, you're in la la land. It's the owner that makes the call. And here's the problem. As I just said, they get to hate coaches really fast, owners.
Yeah.
GM's not so fast, but they get to hate coaches really fast.
How do you think, the valuations of teams are such now that not many individuals can afford to own teams? Do you think that's going to change as more conglomerates own teams?
No, because there's always one main guy.
Yeah.
And the owners, they think it's really easy. They think it's really easy because they've built these major corporations.
Yeah.
Just take the guy in Utah. He starts this, data company. He's so successful. Or the guys all around the league. They're major success stories, which you have to be. And they think that they built these major organizations because they're really smart. They're geniuses. Or maybe it was because they got lucky, a lot of them. Maybe that's why.
Maybe.
And maybe with the NHL, when they think it's so easy to build a winner like their company was, it's not the same. Running a professional sports franchise is not the same as running a major corporation where you get sometimes lucky, sometimes lucky and become a billionaire.
Let me ask you about the Montreal Canadiens, because I think they won 3 out of 4, and then they lost last night. And it's just not.
Didn't they lose 9-2?
It's just not a loss. It's a 9-2 loss.
At home.
Is there damage to that? Like, is there kind of, when you lose 9-2 at home like that, like, it's not just a loss. Is it?
Did you see this? Did you see the lopsided scores last night? I mean, it wasn't there another one 8-1 or, I mean, like, it's been bizarre lately, some of these scores, and that is not, you're right. That is a devastating loss. You think you're making a little progress, and then Pittsburgh come in and beat you 9-1. Pittsburgh, who for most of the season haven't been able to get out of their own way. In the last 10 days, they've been better. And they beat you 9-1. Like, that is so bad. It's so disheartening. And that's what really pisses owners off.
Those
Let me
ones.
tell you.
Yeah. Mac, what's your worst all-time loss, Mac?
11, 12?
It was never 9. I remember I was coaching in Colorado, and after the first period, it was 3 games in 4 nights. We're in Colorado. They had a hell of a team. And we're down 5-0 after the first period. And I'm thinking, I go in and I'm sitting there with the assistant coaches in the coach's room and said, guys, are we going to lose 15-0? I mean, we've got nothing in the tank. We've got nothing. And we ended up losing the game. I think it was 7-4 or something. And I thought, oh my God, that may have been the best 2 periods I've ever been around in my life. I thought we were going to lose 15-0. But I don't remember what, I had some bad losses. There's no doubt about that.
We all
but,
have.
I don't recall a 9-1 at all. I'll never forget Hitchcock. I'm not sure what he was going for, his 500th win or something in his career. It was in Columbus. And they were playing Detroit. And it was a big hoopla. Hitch is going to win this 500. There was 500th game he was coaching or whatever. And the players were so sick of all the interviews about Hitchcock this and Hitchcock that. Anyway, I don't know if you recall, but I think Detroit lost. Detroit beat Columbus 9-0 that game. And the players were in the dressing room high-fiving each other because they were so happy that Hitch got his ass kicked in that big game of his. I was gone at that point, but I remember getting quite a few calls that night. So sometimes they're not always on board with the hoopla around the coach.
Yeah.
You know what the point I'm trying to make?
Yeah.
Detroit didn't lose 9-1 or 9-2, but they lost 4-1 last night. I imagine they want to be as patient as they can here before they make any type of major decisions here, but something's got to give soon with this team. I'll lump in Buffalo there as well.
Yeah, like we've talked about it so many times, like Buffalo, Ottawa. Great to see Ottawa put a couple of good games together. But Buffalo, I talked to Lindy the other night. I mean, it's so frustrating, like blowing leads to lose. You've got some good young kids there, but it is so hard in that. And Stevie Y has got to make a break here. He's got to make a coaching change. He does. And he's tried things. This is 7 or 8 years. He's tried to redo his veteran group at least 4 times. And the same veteran group moves to another team. A couple of them are in Ottawa, a couple here, a couple there. And it hasn't worked. And he's one of the best GMs in the game. He's got to do something. The fans are getting unbelievably restless in Detroit, to say the least. So I don't know how. I mean, I like Derek Lalonde. I think he's a good quality person. He's a good coach. But Lalonde's not the problem, guys. They're not good enough.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the same thing. Who has been their goaltender the last few years in Detroit? Buffalo. Have Buffalo had a goaltender that's good enough to win for the team in the last few years? I mean, Ottawa finally get Ullmark, and they want to rest him. I wouldn't worry about resting Ullmark. I'd worry about winning some games. That's what I'd worry about.
These teams got to send someone to Russia for $500,000.
And I wouldn't worry about tampering. I'd worry about winning some games.
Speaking of which, I can't recall who your goalies were in Columbus all those years.
Oh, let me think. Who would it have been?
Well, the first year it was Ron Tugnut and Mark Denis.
Not bad.
Oh, Mark Denis would have
right? Not bad.
And we ended up, we had a great first year. I mean, Tugger was a great veteran. I told you about the boat he has in the Karathas, up near Peterborough. He's got a boat sitting out in front of his house.
The tugboat.
Yeah, no, it's a little cabin cruiser, and it's called the SS MacLean because I gave him $10 million to be our goalie in Columbus.
I worked with you all these years at Sportsnet. You didn't buy me a boat.
SS MacLean. Tugger, I gave him 5 years at $10 million. But here's the funny story. This I shouldn't be telling this because it's a tampering story, okay? So Tugger's playing in Pittsburgh. I'm at the World Junior in Halifax, and I meet an agent. I can't give his name because he's still working. And we talk about, I wanted to sign Tugnut when he was playing it out in Pittsburgh. He had just been traded to Pittsburgh. He was finishing up there, so I was going to sign him in the summer. So I gave him, we work out a deal at the World Junior, 5 years, $10 million. So Rick Dudley sees me talking to this agent, okay? And all of a sudden I get a call because I'm there watching Brad Richards, who is a PEI kid. And if he doesn't sign by June in Tampa, he's going to be a free agent. Of course, I wasn't talking to the agent about Brad Richards. I was talking to the agent about Tugnut. So Dudley sees me talking to this agent at the World Junior. So all of a sudden I get a call from Bill Daly. Doug, we have a problem. I said, yeah, Bill, I got a lot of problems. What is it, Bill? Rick Dudley is going to charge you with tampering. I said, Rick Dudley's going to charge me on tampering. For who? He said, Brad Richards. I said, what? Brad Richards? He said, well, he thinks you're tampering with him because Brad is from PEI and you're from PEI. So if I was in the NHL today, I'd be charged with tampering with Noah Dobson, I'm sure, So
but if
I said, seriously, Bill. Anyway.
If you were ahead of your time, you would have said, I'm soft tampering.
Yeah, just soft.
It's soft.
Soft. When I saw that come out, I just shook my head. I said, oh my God, where are we going with this? And then this is 2 weeks after Bettman comes out and said, so tampering, seriously. tampering. Like, oh my God. Like,
Okay. But seriously.
now it's a $5 million fine to the team and $1 million to the individual.
Okay,
who's
first of
tampering.
all, Mac, between me,
Seriously.
just between us, like, you're never going to stop it. And you got to be a complete idiot to be caught, right?
Especially at 5 and 1 million, you're a complete idiot to get caught. But like, it just like I chuckle when I saw that come out. I thought, oh man. And they have caught some guys, and like, but I'll tell you what, it would make me nervous if I had to go. Like, I had to go to my owner and say I was buying out Andrew Castles, and it was going to cost $450,000, and he lost his marbles. If I had to go and tell him I was getting fined $5 million for tampering, oh my God.
Good
So
news,
anyway,
in that day, there were no paper trail, no text messages, no emails. Unless you guys were handwriting notes, Doug, I think you're in the clear.
yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I guess we did have emails and we did have text messages,
All right.
but it wasn't, you didn't do that. You phoned the guy and talked to him, you know?
Yeah.
But
Okay,
now
see.
this new Bettman rule will clean up tampering. It'll totally, we saw it already. Like Antlauer, I mean, what was it, a week after they come out with the fines?
Yeah.
Here's what
pretty
the
much.
league hates, boys. Here's what the league hates. If Michael Antlauer has a problem, and I don't blame him, I'd be pissed off too. But if Michael Antlauer has a problem with the New York Rangers, what the league, Bettman and Daly want them to do, call Bill Daly and say, I was just told this, that people are causing problems with Brady Tkachuk, and I want it investigated. That's all he has to do. Why he didn't phone, like, why would you tell Bruce Garriock and not Gary Bettman?
It's like us here. If we have any issues with you, we call Jill.
Go right to the source.
All right, we got to go,
Jill,
man.
I just got a text from Jill. Stop yelling in capital letters.
All right, see what happens. We send our producer away on the second hour of our show, and
let
I'm
it get
like
away.
7 minutes over time now. I got to go to break.
Hey guys, thanks a lot for having me on. I appreciate it, and it's just such a great experience.
I don't believe you.
Hope
Okay.
to get you next week
We
too,
don't
Doug.
believe you. Thanks, Mac.
Thanks, Mac.
All right,
Take
let's
care,
go to a
guys.
quick break here, and when we return, Jason Bukala will go around the league as well with him. We'll get some thoughts on some prospects. Plenty more still. Don't go away. All right, closing out the week here on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. A reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. All right, let's not waste any time here.
Right to it.
Like we wasted a ton with Doug MacLean.
It's never wasted time with Mac.
That's all right. Good point. All right, let's welcome him in. Jason Bukala, Pro Hockey Group, Sportsnet analyst, former NHL scout. How's it going, Books?
Fantastic, fellas. Tough act to follow. I mean,
Not as hard as you think.
Just don't meander too much, and you're doing good.
All right, so we're closing in on Christmas. What's it like for a pro scout this time of year? Is it kind of a relaxed? Players got one eye on finishing out before the Christmas break. Others are making plans already. What's it like for a scout this time of year?
You're making plans to be away from home for the duration of your Christmas holiday for the most part. I've got a 4-day window here coming up, or 5-day window to spend some time with family after I go to Plymouth I got to go see the Team USA World Junior training camp at the beginning of the week. As you guys know, we all ran into each other. I was in studio this week, so I didn't get to Team Canada, but Sammy's there today. And then after I come back, boys, 10 days in Ottawa to take a look at all those prospects at the World Juniors. But on the pro side, this is always that interesting time of year to be scouting players on the pro tour. They're not checked out. I won't say anything like that, but it's definitely they kind of got one eye on Christmas a little bit, and it's always difficult to get the best version of a player here in the next 10 days, I guess you would say.
So as far as the World Juniors tournament's concerned, we do know that every team's representative. Everybody's going, everybody's watching the next great shiny prospect. But how many deals, NHL deals, would would start or be planted at that tournament to move into a March trade deadline?
Oh, that's a great question. And you know what? I can tell you for certain that back in my days when I was working with Scott Luce, especially in Florida, that we would have meetings at World Juniors and we would start to identify that exact list, Kyper, because obviously you start tracking, you get into January, you start tracking towards trade deadline. And by February, for sure, the pro group's going to have a list of targets, usually sooner. Guys are getting ahead of it anymore. And the general manager is going to want to know, who can we target out there, as an add-on, or if we're retaining salary and what's the value of this guy compared to this draft class, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of that's going to be going on, and a lot of discussion. You almost create a little bit of a wish list, to be honest. But here's the trap. A guy might spike at the World Juniors as well. So you gotta definitely look at his body of work and that you're not, it's great to see him in high leverage do very well. Don't get me wrong, but you also want to make sure that, his body of work is what it needs to be.
Books, much more your department than mine, obviously. Just curious, I'm hearing the name Gavin McKenna all the time these days. Tell me about this kid. Is he the next super exciting one?
Yeah, he is. Absolutely. 2 points a game in the dub, playing in Medicine Hat, 30 games played. He's got like 19 tucks, 41 apples. He's going to make Team Canada. He got held out of the scrimmage game today, the exhibition game against the U Sports. Yeah. And he was up in the stands watching. Generally speaking, when you're not playing in the last game, that means you're going to don the jersey. So you're looking at a guy that could be at the World Juniors for 3 consecutive years. And he's an electric talent, guys. This Team Canada team could be pretty young up front. Porter Mortone, Gavin McKenna, you start to go through it. Schaefer looks like he might make it on defense, my number one guy on my list. So it's going to be interesting.
How old is he?
17. Turning 17.
2 points per game, turning
not
17.
eligible. Not eligible.
No, 2 years away.
2 years
away. He's a
away.
late birthday.
So this is really the next coming of a Connor Bedard hype.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's somewhere in between Celebrini and Bedard. Defensive detail ranges a bit. He's better than Hagens, and Hagens has been the consensus number one for this. I'll put it to you this way. If McKenna was in this draft class, he's a top 5 pick in this draft class, and it's a year young. So this kid's super.
So are we going to start hearing generational type of guy here, or did we kind of...
The Canadians are going to be bad for 2 years, is what you're telling me?
Are we going to cool that off with Bedard, 3 goals in the first 20 games?
The generational talent flag that these kids got on. But he could be. I'll just say that. I'll say that.
So let's talk about a couple of the recent first overall picks in the NHL because, Bedard struggled a bit, but this Celebrini and his Sharks stink. He's unbelievable. I mean, I shouldn't even say they stink. He's so good, they're kind of all right. Are you surprised at the success he's having already?
I'm surprised just because I didn't know about the infrastructure. You know what I mean, Borny? Like if you look at Bedard in his sophomore year, people are throwing sophomore slump out there at Bedard. Take 2 seconds to take a look at the roster and tell me what you could do with that. He leads that team in scoring, and you got other guys on there making big dollars, the Bertuzzis, the Halls, all these guys, and they're not doing much. Celebrini, on the other hand, the big difference in San Jose, they're not an easy out. They are some nights, but generally speaking, they play with a lot of energy and pizzazz. Warsofsky behind the bench has done a hell of a job motivating them. And this kid's a complete player, though, Borny. Like he plays a 200-foot game full of energy. When he's got the puck, it's things are happening. But when he doesn't have it, he works to get it back. So any guy who can play the middle of the ice and he's young and tracks all over the place and has some pushback. And star players, guys, we've seen them come along in the league forever. When they turn a puck over in high danger areas, and they have that momentary sulk to them, and then all of a sudden they can't back check on time. Celebrini is the exact opposite. He's looking to break your ankles to get the puck back as soon as he turns it over. I love that about him.
I just, listening to clips and stuff, I watched this great Draymond Green clip talking about Celebrini and watching him, and he kept talking about how he'll push back in a scrum and got some FU, and I saw Ryan Whitney say the same thing, that you're talking to someone that this guy actually has a little, the phrasing is FU, which is pretty unique in an elite talent like that.
It's 100% unique. And, it's going to, in time, what'll happen now, next year when he starts running rampant a little bit more and even more points start projecting out on the board and he plays like that, they're going to have to surround him with some guys that will be able to get in the way of people coming hunting a bit, right? So it's one thing to be energetic and competitive that way, but it's the NHL, and your second go around, they'll be a lot harder on you.
We're talking to Jason Bukala, Pro Hockey Group, Sportsnet analyst, former NHL scout. So, Books, have you ever been a part of a team when they've looked at you and say, I want 2 new goalies for my team, and
next week,
and I want them in a week?
Never, ever have I had that happen. I assume you're referring to Colorado here with what they did.
Who had a tough loss, 4-1. I think Wedgwood took the loss against Utah last night, but maybe one of the most unique moves I've ever seen. It's like revamping your blue line with 5 guys. It's unheard of. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I referred it to somebody this week over a beverage that it was like going after a 1 and a 2 up the middle of the ice. So, like a first and second line centerman type thing. And you're right.
Will it work?
Well, it worked before when they had Kemper there. They just had to be good enough, if you get my drift. Gorgiev, though, this is what's curious, guys. Gorgiev, he over his last 10-game segment before the deal, him and Mackenzie Blackwood, almost had the identical statistical profile. Like it was exactly the same. So what's that tell me? It tells me that the pro staffs on both sides of the ledger there did their homework, and one believed that the trajectory of Blackwood is still going to be better than Gorgiev because they're both on expiring contracts. Colorado saved some dough here too. They got about I think over $1 million in cap space that they'll end up saving at the end of the day. And will it work? Yeah, well, maybe. It's Wedgwood's a 2. Like, let's not make any mistake there. He's a 2. But Blackwood, he hasn't had this type of run statistically since like 2019 with the Devils. So hopefully he can continue to catch lightning in a bottle here with Colorado, because he wants to earn another deal, I'm sure.
We did just feel like on this show that Colorado just had to do something different. So they did accomplish that part. Earlier in the show, Leafs Hour in particular, we're talking about who the Leafs would have as an asset to trade if they were looking to do something big. We've been targeting kind of a third-line center for them. And, Fraser Minton, his name came up. But more importantly, we were saying, what's up with Easton Cowan? Where's his game at? How much more valuable would you consider him than Fraser Minton, if at all?
Yeah, good one. I think Cowan's got top 6 trajectory, right? So the value there, trajectory-wise, is different. And what we're seeing out of Minton right away, and I think we talked about it here a couple of weeks ago, was that we were all pretty comfortable with that he could play a responsible 2-way game, right? He's got a B game. He can he when he's not scoring points, he's going to do other things that are going to help the team win games. And the thing with Cowan is that I still believe that he's going to be able to do that, but more offensively. So for me, if I'm buying, I still believe that Minton's a good high-end 3 who has spot duty too. I think that Cowan's got 2 on the resume, and therefore he's got more value on trajectory for me. The safer one, if the GM said I need something more safe, would be Minton, but I'm not moving on Minton right now if I'm Toronto, given what I'm seeing, because the audition at the NHL level has been very good. It looks good. That might play out though too, boys. So let's give it some time. I'm not going to get too high or too low here. Cowan's dealt with a little bit of a setback here injury-wise. He's at Team Canada's camp. He's not dressed for any of the workouts this week. He's projected to be in the lineup. And he's going to have to, at this event, I'm curious, and he's on the clock for me at this event because I love this guy as a player. I live here in London. Obviously, everybody here thinks the kid walks on water, and he's a superhuman being, which makes it even better. But at this tournament specifically, I need him to have that tenacity, that interior game, that a little bit of a rat to his approach to open up more space for himself, get more pucks in high danger areas, and that pushback that's going to open up more space for him when he arrives as a pro.
One more Books for us, and that's just for many teams, we're hitting a 30-game mark here. Off the top of your head, what team could be most desperate for a change?
You mean all overall change?
Whatever
Anything?
it takes to maybe nudge them and either get them back in a race or maybe get them amongst the big boys.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for me. I think that the team that I'm keeping an eye on here with all the cap space guys is the Dallas Stars. With that money opening, it's not so much that they need a nudge. It's just that I'm curious to see where they go to spend the money. And then where I am curious to see happen, I'm keeping a close eye on this. I think the Buffalo Sabres are a complete tire fire, and I'm hearing the Dylan Cousins' name being circulated out there at 7.1.
Yeah.
He had 30 tucks 2 years ago. Be very careful if who's ever running the Buffalo Sabres when the time comes that you don't start trading out the wrong guys and leave nothing in the cupboards later on.
If you were another team, would you take Cousins at the 7-1 right now if the deal made sense?
I would, but I do my due diligence for sure too. There's some maturing to go on there, guys, but he hasn't been surrounded with a ton of development structure. So the 30 might have been an early anomaly, but there's still more growth there. I think 30 could still be the number in the right environment. So yeah, I'm tracking towards that.
And last one for me, Books. Chicago just called up Frank Nazar. So this kid is 5'9", 20 years old. Is he going to help Bedard? I think he's 6 in the AHL or something. I've been trying to learn about him. Help me out.
Frank Nazar is a lot of fun to watch, guys. He's a little ball of hate. He plays really fast. He was at the U.S. National Team Development Program, suffered a knee injury in his first year at college, held him out most of the year. Is it going to move the needle enough in Chicago? No, it's not. It's going to put more pressure on. He's going to want to play his own style of game. It might spike for a couple of days, but this isn't a solution. It's an opportunity. But he plays really fast, Bourne. He's got tons of skill, and he's a dog on a bone, so those are good attributes.
Always a pleasure having you on our show, pal. Thanks for doing this. Have a great weekend.
Awesome, boys. Have a great weekend. See you later. Thanks.
Pro Hockey Group and Sportsnet analyst Jason Bukala.
Yeah. The Nazar thing is interesting. This kid is 5'9", 20 years old. He's 6 in the AHL in scoring, and Chicago's just so desperate. You look at Bedard last night. He goes into the game. He's playing with Ilya Mikheyev and Philip Kurashev.
Yeah. How aggressive will they be in the summer for UFAs?
Crazy, but I don't think they can do what they've done in the past, which is we need proven pros. Go bring me, whoever should have retired. They need players that are good now.
So what do we have? Just one game tonight?
Yeah. We had
Senators and the Hurricanes.
1,000 last night.
They jam pack most of the week, and then they just leave it for one game tonight.
One game tonight.
I don't get that.
And then, you know how many tomorrow? 15. 15 games tomorrow. Every NHL team plays, I imagine, except Ottawa and Carolina. Totally guessing on that.
All right. That kind of closes out our week, doesn't it?
That was good. We got Mac for a little longer than we maybe should have.
So Sammy was driving to Oshawa to catch a Generals game. I don't think he's probably 5 minutes away from us with the traffic right now.
No, I know.
And he left an hour ago.
Yeah, and he's got a big weekend ahead. He's
huge. Sammy, we know you're listening. Pace yourself, my friend. Pace yourself.
I think he's with some of the Zigzag boys too, his beer league squad. So I think they'll put the beer in beer league this weekend.
Once again, our thanks to Doug MacLean, Jason Bukala. Great week, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun this week.
It was a good week, and we just should note as well, if you want Pierre Engvall, he is available for free on waivers right now.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to all our viewers on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Love to hear your comments. We don't want to forget about you guys. And if you get a chance, download our show. For Nick Kypreos and Justin Bourne, have a great weekend, and we're back Monday on Real Kyper and Bourne.